Welcome to the Nature's Image Farm podcast. We're glad you're here. I'm Greg.
And I'm Susan. And together we're raising 7 kids on the farm and learning life lessons along the way.
So pull up a chair, rest your heels, and let's talk all things bees, homesteading, and the old-time ways.
Let's get after it.
If you're interested in NUCS, packages, queens, or supplies, visit us on the web at nature'simagefarm.com.
Well, hey guys, welcome back to the farm.
Good evening.
Good
I was going to
afternoon,
say good afternoon.
Whatever
It's been a long day.
It's been a long weekend, hasn't it?
It's been a long weekend.
Well, hope everyone's doing good. Appreciate you stopping in to say hey tonight and joining us as we continue on with these Sunday night homestead chats. There's a lot of things going on around the homestead that are not particularly bee related, but if you're a beekeeper or if you are a homesteader, all these things just go hand in hand. Everything is connected, and there's a lot on our minds, a lot on our hearts, and a lot of work to do here on the homestead. And so if you're just joining us for the first time on a chat like this, what we've done in the past is we do a lot of bee chats and things like that, where we talk about bees and our beekeeping experience. But we also want to be able to include life on the homestead, life on the farm, raising a bunch of kids, and just enjoying what we do along the way. And so if you're new to the live chat, this is your first time, thanks for spending some time with us.
Yeah.
This is the brains behind the outfit, my wife, Susie.
Yeah. Good evening, guys. We're glad you guys are all coming in and joining us in here. It looks like we've got a crowd tonight, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun. Just quick shout outs here. John Lawler, Tennessee Tim, Cajun Homestead, John Lawler, Houston Beer Mother, Sylvia. They're from Bud's Bees. Good to see you in there. We've got Randy from the Tar Heel Beekeeper, Chris from Drop Tine, our local pals, Steve and Jane, and then Grayson from Wildwoods Honeybee Farm, and Terry Bishel. Good seeing you guys in there. We've got a special guest tonight that we're going to bring in here in a little bit. But, there's a lot of talk right now about chickens and eggs and shortages and all these kind of things. And a lot of folks find themselves in a position to either be extremely egg poor or extremely egg rich. And there's a lot of things that are some old time ways of how to preserve meats and produce and also chicken eggs.
Yeah. And, fellas, it's almost that big day where you show your ladies how much you love them. And maybe a dozen of those farm fresh eggs is how you go this year instead of those roses or anything else fancy. So let's just keep that in mind when we're purchasing our gifts for our...
Anymore, I think the ladies are just like, Mr. Right must just be able to bring me 10 eggs a morning and have these beautiful chickens running around and just green pastures, and the green grass goes around and around. That's just, what's interesting.
It seems so dreamy.
It seems so dreamy. True wealth. What is true wealth? I think we all have a different definition of that. But I think for us here on the farm, true wealth is being able to live this very simple, frugal life, as close to the land as possible, in touch and in tune with all the cycles, and raising animals, livestock, for our produce. It's all a part of who we are and what we believe and what we do.
Yeah.
So tonight we want to talk about chicken egg preservation.
Yeah. Oh, this is such a fun topic. I love talking chickens, chicken eggs, all things kitchen homestead.
Are you like the crazy chicken lady?
No. So I have a friend, and I'm not going to name her, and she does like the chicken swings, and I don't even know what all crazy stuff she does. I love to keep them alive. So there's that. I just really want them alive so that they can give our family, like this morning, sweet Luke woke up with me and he made eggs and sausage, and we made muffins together. And that was so sweet. He was so proud of himself to make all those things. And he cracked every single egg. and we used, I think 18 eggs this morning to make scrambled eggs for our family, and we ate them all.
Yeah. And there's no leftovers.
No, and that was including, about 18 to 24. I can't remember how many sausage patties and 24 muffins. So for a family of 9, we do go through quite a bit, but eggs go quick in our house. So I really want my chickens to decide that winter solstice is, has passed and we can start laying eggs again, because I'm tired of feeding them and not getting anything but poop.
They seem like they definitely seem like freeloaders. And
Yeah.
if you're new to chickens, if you're new to this kind of talk, check out last Sunday night's live stream here on the channel.
Yeah.
About raising chickens for eggs. We tackled a lot of topics, got into a lot of different things, points to consider, kind of the pros and cons. So be sure to check that one out. Tonight, let's just get into it. We want to get in and talk about all things chicken egg preservation, what that looks like, what that smells like, what that tastes like. Is that something that's safe for you to do? Is that something you should even think about doing? There's an awful lot to it, but it's been done for a long, long time. And I think it's important to keep these old time ways alive and well. And
ooh, okay. Yeah.
we've got a very special guest tonight, folks. This person is so special. He has to have his own walk-on music. He is a falconer. He's a firefighter. He's the list goes on and on and on and on.
Fancy.
Jedi Master, barbecue pit boss.
Wow.
I mean, there's just so many things. Folks may know him for his beekeeping skills, his cutouts. But it's our absolute pleasure and honor to bring on the chicken whisperer himself, Yappy, the Chicken Man.
Yay.
Oh my God. You steal my mug and then wow. Hey, welcome back.
Hey, Yappy, thanks for joining us.
Oh my God.
Tonight.
I'll tell you what. Now, so I've really enjoyed the whole beginning of this thing, and I don't know what's going on, but my computer keeps doing this, like all of a sudden just freezing and doing the little circle thingy and thinking. So I don't know what's going to happen here. Y'all may
those hot tips and tricks out quick.
Yeah, well, or this will end up turning into a 2.5 hour stream, and I don't know. But
listen, Yappy, I don't know about those guys, but I got a bedtime. It's Sunday.
Well, all right, fine. So the Reader's Digest version.
Just kidding. Come on now.
Store your eggs. Don't waste them. And hey, thanks for coming along.
It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun.
Yeah. Man, I tell you what. This is actually, it's kind of funny because a couple of days ago, I'm in the kitchen and I'm having to the girls have brought some eggs in, and I happen to look over on the corner and there's like 3 or 4 of those 18 packs of eggs sitting over off the side of the counter. And I just happen to open one up, man, and it's just like all these eggs are just dirty. And I'm like, and I said something to my wife, and I'm like, we can't do this. I mean, eggs are gold right now. And so we had a little chat about, what to do with them. And in that process, I called Greg and I said, I'm shaking my head. And we start talking about what I was doing at the time. And, I wanted him to run it kind of past, Miss Susie there, the chicken queen, and make sure I was doing it right after the whole, last episode you guys put out there with the chicken show. And he's like, we should talk more about this. So we got into where we were really just having a great time talking about some of the things that I do and why I do them. And, I've done them for off and on for years this way. And, we decided we just kind of poll the audience and throw some thoughts out there and see how many of y'all think I'm crazy. Wait, look. Yep. That just got you another 140 comments. But anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, no one thinks that Yappy. Not a single person who knows Yappy would ever think that Yappy's crazy.
No, I'm just glad. Yeah, I'm glad that Grammy's in there because she's like a full awesome supporter of Yappy. So with
I've
Grammy
actually
there,
met her.
yeah.
She's got a sweet homestead down in Alabama. We got to drop some queens off to her and visit her place there, and she's got it going on. Yep, you froze. Are you there?
Oh, he's there.
I am. I just
Right.
wanted to mess with, but actually, it just did that little whole thinking thing. But come on, let's get to the
Okay.
eggs and
Yappy's-
let's get to
let's
the
do it.
eggs and potatoes of this show.
Hey,
I have my notes, Yappy. So let's see where your notes are.
Yappy, I am really, really excited to hear what you have to say about eggs. Wow, this is weird. This is you watching me.
Yeah,
watching her.
I wanted to show her own notes so that way I was prepared. But
Nice.
no, okay. So now listen, I'm not flexing here, okay? I'm not. But so back a few months ago, in Alabama we have, and a lot of states have 4-H programs. All right, it's where one of the big agriculture colleges in the state will. They will work and have little development programs for students in the schools so that they can learn topics of. Well, Auburn University in Alabama is one of the is the one that kind of runs the 4-H program in Alabama, and one of the aspects of their programs are what Alabama has, or that I'm aware of, have coined a what they call the chick chain program. So the chick chain program, students get involved in the chick chain and they receive 20 to 25 baby chicks. And they learn all about each. There's multiple breeds that they'll get. They learn about the different breeds. They received information through their mentors on how to feed them, care for them, disease control, so many different aspects, because they hope that we can teach a little bit of agriculture to the students, but as well as be able to, hopefully maybe somewhere down the line, one of these students will actually get into the poultry industry. Mm-hmm. So at the end of their program, after multiple weeks of raising these chickens, they have an auction, and each student will pick 3 of the same breed chickens that they want to show and then auction off the birds. They're tested on their knowledge of the breed and all their documentation about what they fed them, how often they fed them, blah, blah, blah. And then, like I said, the chickens are judged based on how well they appear to be cared for, plus the information. And then we get to buy them. And this is really cool because I pay, all the money goes right back into the program and I get a tax write-off. So Yappy went, and this is not flexing either, but I bought 20-ish, I think 19 or 20 or so brand new chickens back in October. Now I have so I got a handful of layers, and they were young back then, and now they're just kind of getting it started. Kind of like one of them new queens, where they just, they start they can't get them out fast enough. Yeah. So in the process of my problem, I was counting out here the other day. I had about 97 eggs sitting in cartons. Wow. And so I thought, let's check with Greg and Susan. Let's see give me some ideas. I've got all these eggs. Can't eat them all at once. What can we do to keep these eggs instead of having them go sour on us or what? So there's a few things I do, but I'm kind of hoping Miss Note Taker over there is going to give us some new ideas. So back at you.
Okay.
Let's trade some ideas then. Susie, what is your number one most, or should we start with number 26 and then work our way all the way up? I'm just kidding.
I kept it simple. So my go-to saying.
Well, let's talk about it. What's one of your favorite ways to preserve eggs?
So obviously we can't eat all the eggs when we actually have a full flock and they're all laying like in the middle of summer. I don't know. Do yours slow down at all, Yappy?
Now, depending on the breed, okay, but I'm also definitely in a warmer climate. So mine actually will slow down right there October is where it starts, when the evening temperatures start getting cool. And I can't prove this, but I got a theory. We'll talk about that one here in a minute. But they'll start slowing down about October. If we stay warm, they'll still occasionally kick one out. But I mean, right now the days are longer. The amount of light that they get has an influence on if they lay or not. So there's a few different things.
Okay. So yeah, it doesn't seem to matter if my birds are super cold. It's whether or not we have enough light, and we don't light our coop. And so they don't have any artificial light in their coop. So if the daylight hours aren't 12 plus hours a day, then we just won't get any eggs. And that's okay with me because it extends their lifetime a little bit as far as how many they're going to put out during their tenure here.
For folks that don't know about the natural protection on an egg, you want to talk a little bit about where what comes first, the chicken or the egg? But how is an egg protected, or is it? So yes, all eggs when laid are protected by what they call a natural bloom. And the bloom is when it comes out of the chicken, it is got this protective coating. The thing that happens though is, and that does not need a rooster to have that happen. It is fertilized by a rooster. And that's when you can incubate them, or they can, go broody and they can, make their own chicks. But that bloom will protect the egg and render it, counter stable. So you could keep them on your counters for several weeks at a time. So Yappy having, 2 or 3 cartons of eggs on his countertop for a week, everybody would just like, oh, if you went to the grocery store and did that, you better throw them suckers out. But if you have your own farm fresh eggs, because of that natural bloom being on there, I'll say that, that maybe they shouldn't have any like major poop or whatever, because who wants to use those cartons over again? But all in all, that's not anything to worry about. Rinse them off as you eat them. But they are safe on your counter for several weeks. If you want to make them safe even longer than that, and you can't consume them all in that week or whatever, 2, 3, 4 weeks, up to 4 weeks at a time, I would say, before that you've rinsed them. And once you rinse them or clean them off, then you should probably go ahead and throw them in the fridge. And those can last up to 6 months in the fridge. I've had them last, and it's because of that coating. Now, if you go into the grocery store, they've all been commercially washed. So you have to be a little bit more careful about how long you leave those eggs sit in your fridge. How do you wash your eggs?
I wash them in very not cold water, like lukewarm water. I be careful how I say that because everybody's temperature settings on their hands is different than mine. But I use lukewarm water. We very rarely use any kind of like soap at all. And we just rinse with just a soft cloth if we need it at all. Usually I just, if we're really good, now all of our children have chores. So if the coop is clean, dry, and well kept, they really come out clean. But that's the dream. The actual reality of it is that there will be poop on eggs. Or we get rain after rain after rain day, and we have an old tin roof on our coop. So that bedding gets pretty wet and then the poop sticks. So there's that. So reality is sometimes you got to rinse an egg or two.
It's easier to keep the nesting boxes clean,
yes,
and have clean eggs come out and then have hardly anything to do. But sometimes, you get a situation where there might be a lot of mud, or they're wallowing through something and coming back in, or you're behind on chores, or whoever's supposed to be
just
taking
their
care
muddy
of
feet in the box when they go to lay down, or their muddy butt.
Yeah, ducks are also
fantastic
eggs, but
so
ducks are just
dirty.
I swear they'll find the softest, muddiest spot to put a clutch of eggs in there. Then they get them big old webbed feet. I swear they just walk on them and just wall them around, and they're just
move them.
There's filthy, dirty, nasty things all the time. I'm sure there's ways around that, but but let's go back and forth here. Yappy, how do you first things being first, what do you do as far as washing your eggs? What run us through your tried and true preferred method on washing your eggs before you store them?
The obvious thing is hoping that you're in that great, nice cycle of having clean bedding in the boxes. It's, where you just basically collect them up, put them right in a whatever container that you set them in, a basket. Those really cool little spinners, where the eggs just sit there and they go. Oh yeah. Yeah. Those are cool. Way out of my need, but that's obviously the easiest way. But whenever there's the dirt, I'm about like you. It's the I take a big glass bowl that I've got, we set it down in the sink, fill it up halfway full of water, all the dirty eggs kind of go in there. It don't take even some of the muddiest, dirtiest ones, it don't take but roughly 5 minutes ish, and all that rehydrates, and then you just roll it around in my hand, get all the heavy stuff off. But then I've got a second glass pan that I'll put a couple paper towels down in, and I just load them all up into that little pan, let them air dry. But now, we've washed that mama protection layer off, and now it goes to, how many are sitting over there on the counter behind me, and what is my plans to do for these? I have found over the course of my time, I've chose to reapply some form of a layer of that air quotes protection. My understanding is that little bloom layer, what it's really doing is it's helping to actually keep the exterior air from absorbing and exchanging into the egg. And with that being said, it's cool because they've got that calcium layer, but then there's that little inner layer inside the egg. Have you ever had an egg that was laid that had no calcium on it? It was just like a little
balloon.
gelatin. Yeah. And that is the absolute coolest thing in the world. We got one of those one time, and my daughter comes running in, and she's like, "What is this?" I mean, she thought that Godzilla had lost a baby or something. But anyway,
we have had those. Those are fun for the kids to find. I tell you, they think, "Wow."
Yeah. But they're still hard to crack. Every time you go to crack it, it's like but anyway. So, and by the way, John Hatch, no, there's not really much I don't do. So anyway, I'm catching a comment over here, but, now
so you do the same thing. You rinse your eggs, and the ones that you end up rinsing, do you put those in the fridge?
Now, if it depends on how many I got, as far as what my plan is for them. If it's that I want to protect those eggs, but I don't have room in the fridge. We've got too much going on, or I've already got a stack in there. If they're going to be held, I mean, there's times where I'll hold, a dozen or two that I'm going to give to somebody else.
Yep.
So instead of throwing them in my fridge and then pulling them out, and then they cool back down and playing all that game, I've got that stack where they may be going to somebody else. So therefore, I will take and I let them air dry, and then I have got to where what I do is I just spray a light coat of virgin olive oil off the spray cans, like you'd spray in a in a pan before you cook something like an egg. And but I'll spray some of that on them, and then I'll let it just kind of sit and ooze around, get around it. I'll grab one of my little cartons, and then I'll just take it and roll it around in my hand to spread it and kind of recoat that. And then the last thing I do is I've got a paper towel handy that I may wipe it down around with. I look at eggs kind of like cast iron aficionados. Understand this one thing: you don't slather your cast iron in oil. You spray a little, or you take a little dab of, or whatever you're going to coat it with, and you just rub it on. You wipe it on your cast iron. It doesn't take a layer that if you pulled your pan up sideways, you could see it run. It takes a very thin layer of oil to keep the air from creating the rust on the cast iron. And that's how I look at my eggs. Just the lightest coat of oil that actually goes over top of that egg. And then I put it back on there, and I'm back to leaving those things on the counter for weeks at a time.
Awesome.
They don't last much longer than that, do they? No matter which way you go.
No, and you know,
I mean, as far as eating them, you know, they don't. With
yeah,
the family,
but if you end up with a bunch of eggs and you just a lot of people would just basically put them in the cartons and stick them on the counter. And I learned the whole deal with, the cleaning and the different stuff, because we used to go to like Bantam chicken shows and different things like that. Learned a lot of different secrets per se from them. But, I think that just putting that little light coat of oil around them and it holds on there, that will help to reduce that air kind of passing through and creating that egg to either bring in more or to actually let a little bit of that out and start to exchange it to where it'll cause it to go bad.
So let's say, Susie, you get behind on chores and the bedding's a mess, and some of those eggs they're just poopy. They're just dirty eggs, and you bring them in to clean them. Brian over at Castle Hives had a good question. If you wash your eggs, do you use those first over the ones that did not need washed because the unwashed keep longer?
I do. So we usually, if we get behind on eggs, those go in cartons that get to the top of the chain there. They get pushed to the top. And then the ones that have not had any washing done to them will keep longer. Yes. Even if you decide to keep them in the fridge, they'll keep longer. Because you haven't washed that bloom off, that protective coating. Eggs have pores like our skin. And when we apply, anything to our skin, we kind of clog those pores up. Same thing with eggs. They have pores, like Yappy was saying, and he coats his. You've just you've washed that protection off. So we want to use those up first, which, sometimes in the heat of the summer when the chickens are just cranking 1 or 2 out a day per chicken, we can really get overrun with eggs. And we'll go into what I do when we get completely overrun with eggs and the kids are going, I don't want to eat another egg. I don't want to see another egg. I don't want to collect another egg.
Yep.
Because that happens.
So usually when the kids go out and they've got the chores, they'll go out and get the eggs. They'll bring them back. We just use those, red wire basketed, egg baskets, and those kind of get hung up right in the kitchen for the most part. They don't get washed or anything even before we crack them and put them in the pan. If the bedding's kept clean and there's a clean egg, but they just store room temperature in a basket until we eat them up. And we don't ever have any kind of problems like that. But let's say you get some egg, you find an old clutch of eggs somewhere. You get a hen that's out there on a Rumspringer and she's laying up, and you find 12 or 20 or 30 eggs out under the rose bush or somewhere.
Oh.
How can you Yappy, have you ever had a situation like that? And if so, what have you done to test the eggs just to see if they're okay?
Well, are we talking before the egg prices went up or now?
Right.
Because I'm telling you, this. Yeah. Well, first thing I do is I take them in and I wash them as we have spoken of, and then I put those over in the cardboard little box. I don't even put them in a carton. I just put them in a cardboard box, and that is the ones that we give away. Yeah. And it comes with its own little piece of paper that goes in there, crack at your own discretion. But no, that was definitely one of the things that I enjoyed learning from my previous chicken show mentors, was the whole absorbing of the air as it goes. I love the fact that you could take one of those eggs and just set those in the bowl, and the ones that float are generally the ones that we don't even want to worry about. The more air that they actually will get in them, and the as they start to, I guess maybe it's the egg itself is changing its nutritional composition, shall we say? And
Collecting more air.
and
I'm impressed. That was a big word.
nutritional composition, better known as turning into a nasty chicken fart, and if you crack that, you will wish that was all it was. However, but yeah, so instead of having that all nasty smell, I think those gases will help it to rise to the surface and become one that helps to volunteer just to go get thrown across the road and let the neighbor's dog eat it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. So let's say we're not in a chicken and Rumspringa scenario, and you're just overrun with eggs. Susie, what's one of your favorite ways to preserve eggs?
Well, my number 2 way to preserve an egg would be freeze. You want to freeze the eggs, and you can freeze them. Just crack them and freeze them into like ice cube trays, or some people like to scramble them and take that measurement into a liquid measuring cup, and okay, I scrambled, that's 1, so let's pour that in and see what that is. It's 1/4 of a cup, so now I know. If you're that precise, if you just want some scrambled eggs and you're ready to, your recipe calls for 1 egg, and which obviously you're going to scramble it in there and mix it around with your batter of whatever, it won't matter. If you want to leave them whole, you can do it either way, but freeze those puppies up and put them in ice cube trays, and then crack them into a Ziploc bag or whatever, however you want to keep them into the freezer, and they are ready to go when you need them. And that'll save you some time and some space if you've overrun your fridge or your countertops or whatever. So that would be my second choice on, if you're not going to keep them fresh on your counter or in your fridge, is to freeze them.
Yappy, what about you? What's one of your favorite ways to preserve them?
I definitely agree with the freezing aspect. I've heard about the whole, using the ice cube trays and different things like that. That's great for those northerns, like tiny egg laying chickens. No offense, but we got our chickens down here think they're turkeys, and I have gotten some eggs that have come from mine that literally, if you were holding your hand, it would be like 3 golf balls in length. I mean, I've got this one hen out there that I'm telling you, she thinks it's a contest to see how, she daily just wants to lay the biggest eggs and throw maybe a couple double yolkers in there at it, just for fun. But
wait, did you say double yoker?
Double yoker.
My kids used to fight over who got the double yolkers that day.
Yappy, for those who haven't had the privilege of having their own backyard flock and cracking an egg and getting that big surprise in the bowl, what in the world do you mean when you say double yoker? Look at that sticker.
Did you like that? Listen, on a side note, don't forget to get your merchandise through Nature's Image Farm.
Hey. And yeah, right. That's a paid endorsement. We paid him in floating chicken.
Floating chicken eggs, yes. Yes, for all your merchandise needs. We have hats, we've got t-shirts, we've got Yappies, we've got tumblers and with stickers and everything. But yeah, there you go. But no, the double yoker. Oh, great. Now I'm looking at the comments, and Grammy, now she's sitting down here. Grammy knows all about double yokers. I mean, she's a chicken fanatiado. She's probably going to put me to shame here at the end of this. But the double yolkers, when you get 2 yellows, okay, them 2 little yellow thingies inside the egg. Well, that would almost be redundant to say a double yoker to be a comp, but anyway, the yellow thingies. But 2 yolks. Somebody actually told me they had one that had actually put 3 in 1 egg. I have never in my life seen one that had 3, but yeah.
We've had one. Do you I've got I don't have a theory, but it seems like we typically have a repeat offender on the type of chickens that seem to be the double and triple yolkers. Do you see a certain type of breed of chicken that does that more than any others?
No, and I had Buff Orpingtons that laid. They now for those that are just kind of getting into your chickens, I mean this serious as a heart attack. If you can find Orpingtons, the buff is just the color. Okay, so if you're looking at the screen and you see the color of the Nature's Image Farms beehive boxes as the backdrop for this, not my backdrop, not Greg's backdrop. Okay, wait, Greg's backdrop. That's his kitchen cabinet, but the backdrop behind the backdrop, that would almost be a buff color of a chicken, kind of a goldish, whatever. Okay, so there you go. But there's a lot of different color variations that they would have in each particular breed. Now, that being said, Orpingtons are egg-laying fools, and they're big, fat, and fluffy chickens. So if you want to get them in, my Orpingtons laid, about all year long. They would pop eggs out. Every other day they would lay eggs. And, we kind of cycled some of those through. And now I've got whatever I got, a whole bunch of fancy 4-H chickens, but they're beautiful, and
price is right too.
Yes, no, it was not. I paid, and I'm saying, yeah, for a great cause. Hey, where was that mug? Where's that mug? I saw that. Oh, and I could tell you that's a 32 ouncer. That was so close. I thought that was mine.
I know. That's
yeah.
Did I give you a heart attack on that?
You almost did.
Good.
Yeah. No, I've got the GPS tracker that I had in the bottom of that mug is telling me that mug is a little bit still in Ohio, a little bit of ways from where you're at, but I've tracked it to it still being somewhere in Ohio is all I know. Now, it could be at a post office on its way somewhere else, but as of right now, all I know is it's still in Ohio at the moment.
The great and powerful Oz knows all.
Right.
So, anyway, but
young hens or old hens? Do you see a difference? Who lays more double yolkers?
Oh, really? I can't really tell you on that because they don't really. My chickens, I have tried, but I've tried to actually get them to sign their name to the egg after they're done laying, so I know who it was. They won't do it, so I can't keep track of it. But
you can keep track of where the Yappy's traveling tumbler is, but you can't keep track of the eggs that coming from the chickens.
Well,
where are your priorities?
It was a lot easier to put a GPS tracker in the tumbler than it would be to put it in the chicken. That's all I'm saying. So, but
that would be an idea.
Hey, listen, we need to get back to what I do with all my extra eggs, part 2.
Okay, we're all ears.
Yeah. So if you don't freeze them, yes. So
I do. Well, I do freeze them, but I do it differently. I break mine down into meals, thought processes of meals. Okay. So what I'll do is I know that if I'm going to make French toast for the kids or whatever, it will take 4 to 6 eggs. So what I'll do is I'll crack 4 to 6 eggs in a coffee mug or a measuring cup or whatever, but I'll crack all of them into that. And then I will take all of that and pour it into a double Ziploc bag. And that's how I save mine instead of putting them in, into the ice trays, because to me, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but you got to get a deeper ice tray, tray dipping, where you put the water, but it would have to be deeper for a lot of my eggs. So where I was having the run over, the yolks in most of my eggs would be that's all I would get in my ice trays. So I figured if I take those and I can, I'll collect them all up in a coffee mug and then put them into a sandwich bag sized Ziploc. And if I were only going to do 1 or 2 eggs, I could even get the half sandwich size. And that way, but I pour them in there, and then I'll just set it in, and where I'll try to roll it just a little bit to get as much air out of the bag as possible. Go ahead and zip that up, and when I'm done with that day's worth of eggs, or that couple of days worth of eggs, I'll take all those bags and put them in a 1 gallon Ziploc bag to store all of it together, and then I just stick it in the freezer. So if I'm gonna, I grab 1 or 2 of them out to do whatever I'm wanting for whatever meal we're trying to prepare.
That's great. That's a great idea.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Man, well, I got one of them buttons too, Greg. Don't let's not go down the button war. But wait, there's one. I don't even know what that did. I know. Look at her. Look at her face.
She hates it.
I know.
Susie,
But,
what's another way you like to preserve chicken eggs?
So my number 3 is to dehydrate or freeze dry. Now I wouldn't know what freeze dried eggs taste like because I don't own a freeze dryer. I'm not bitter. But
no, there's somebody in the comments that's got one. Whoever it was in the comments that's got the freeze dryer. Say yo. Yeah, say hello.
No, it's
Wait.
Shh, John. Shh.
No, it's John's got one too. But then Boring has one.
Oh, Scott's got one.
Scott Boring. Yeah.
Oh man, you guys are gonna.
I know.
Keeping up with these fellows is gonna.
It's coming up on my birthday.
Yeah. But I can tell you this: for what a freeze dryer will cost you nowadays, I would rather just buy an extra freezer to put them all in, a deep freezer, and then just put them in baggies and then stick them in that, because my wife could have fun with a freeze dryer, and I'm sure you could too, but you'd have to take out a second mortgage on one of them stupid things. Holy cow.
I know.
I mean, it's only like what, $5,000.
Yeah, but a freeze dryer is smaller than a freezer.
I could buy a freezer for.
Every time I buy a freezer, it has to be a 22 cube freezer. So I just think that, I feel like I can do so much more with a freeze dryer. I'm trying to convince Greg.
The closet prepper in me, though, does see a lot of value in something like that. And I hear the eggs are actually pretty good.
So I will have to say there's been a debate, and I have seen some articles written about, or podcasts or whatever, videos about dehydrating versus freeze dried eggs. And supposedly dehydrated eggs are not as good rehydrated than the freeze dried eggs. So though I can say that would be a good method to go down, a good way to preserve eggs. Not something I've done because I don't own a freeze dryer. So
moving right along.
I'm thinking Brian needs to get one of those and then let us know how it works, because Brian's into the cool technology stuff. Okay, anybody who's going to go buy one of them little plastic man things, okay, to make little tiny beehives. All right, yes, Brian, get one and get one tomorrow. Okay,
John said he's going to bring us some to try, and Scott says that Harvest Right just came out with an extra large freeze dryer.
See,
on sale for $64.99 plus tax.
I did not see that comment.
No, I'm just kidding.
Stop.
They're probably not that bad. No, right there. Yeah.
You know what though? If you look about the size of the freezer that we would have to, because we do with our family, we do have, I'll say, mini freezers, and so if we didn't have to get another freezer, it would save space.
Okay.
See?
Well, it's just,
I'm thinking
it's just 20 more nukes.
Well, save some space. Okay. It doesn't always have to be plugged in like a big 22-gallon quart, whatever freezer. So you're saving money on electricity. It'll pay for itself eventually.
See? Yeah. Everybody say yes.
It's actually $1,000 less than I thought it would be.
6 trays. I think they're about 5,000. I think so too. Yeah. So see, anyway, so that's number 3. You would have to tell me in the comments if you've used a dehydrator. Obviously, there are people that have used a freeze dryer and think it's phenomenal.
If you've used it, please tell us how terrible it is, and it's a waste of money, and we shouldn't even think about it. Right?
No. What was that one button?
Don't even. Those are my buttons. They're
Okay,
over
so we're
here.
going to number 4, and I have done this one. And so some people call it water glassing. I use hydrated lime to lime my eggs. Some people they're just so nasty and mean about saying water glassing. I don't know why, but so I will call them limed eggs, and that's how I labeled them so that nobody would, be mean to me.
No one's going to be mean to you.
I know I won't let them, but yes, so I've used hydrated lime, and I have limed my eggs to preserve them when we're cranking out dozens and dozens a week, and we cannot keep up with them in the summer. My kids, for some reason, really love eggs in the winter, but in the summer, when there's like an overabundance of dozens and dozens and dozens, they don't want to eat them. So that's a good way for us to do that. We lime them. I limed, I think, trying to think of how many I got that were actually clean, because you don't want to wash the eggs at all. So they need to be extremely clean eggs when they go into the lime water. And then what we do is I set those in the basement, and I do not touch them until winter. And so they go from, I usually start to preserve June, July, and those are our like December, January, February eggs. So
Yeah.
The comments seem to be overwhelming here coming through on the freeze dryers.
Woo woo. Yeah.
So,
who's getting one for her birthday?
If you want to see
woo.
Susie get a freeze dryer, be sure to visit naturesimagefarm.com and buy a handful of NUCS. That's about what it's going to take there.
Yeah.
But there are folks on here who have bought bees this year, the Lawlers especially. So thanks. Good to see you guys.
Yeah. Definitely get a tumbler.
Yappy, you ever did the cilantro lime eggs or not cilantro lime eggs?
Lime.
What did I just say?
Hydrated lime.
Hydrated lime, lime eggs or water glassing.
All right. I did not even realize that was a thing up until a few months ago in regards to, but it's because, and Grammy, now she's going to definitely know when this happened. I took a hankering to canning a few months back, and the only thing I wanted to can was meat. Basically just meats and soup starters, different things like that. I wasn't going down the road of tomatoes and beans and everything else. And something I clicked on just all of a sudden come up and was like this big quart jar and a gallon jar full of eggs, and it's was talking about that. And this was
beautiful.
Oh yes, it was. But now here's my problem with it. It's where's our balance in cost effectiveness? Okay. That's really where, but anything you're putting in a jar that we are preserving, all right, if it's done properly, generally has a multi-year shelf life. I mean, look at anything that you can. It's a more costly process. You know what you're putting in there. Once it's sealed up, that you've got a couple year shelf life on your own food with no preservatives in there. Okay. It's not power sensitive to where if the power goes off or anything else, you still got it. It's earthquake sensitive though. Just remember that.
Earthquake zone?
We all live in an earthquake zone. It's just a matter of whether or not you felt it. But some of us are just more prone to it than others. I'm not supposedly, but yet that guy on the other YouTube channel, he pops up every once in a while and says we have them over in Georgia, and I should have felt it. But anyway, no, he didn't. No, they don't let him do anything anymore. Broke my heart when he left. But no.
Now, let me clarify, Yappy. Are you talking about preserving your eggs via water bath or pressure canning? Or are you talking about water?
No. It's the whole adding the lime. I think so when I saw this, it was basically it was some little article. It said, yeah, you just buy this packet of stuff and add a little bit of this into it. I've not done it yet, but there is it's not pickling per se, but you just take your clean egg and literally are putting it down in the jar with so much water and a spoonful or two of whatever probably the lime stuff. And so I was on a kick. I was going to go find some of this. Well, it's in the house. It's in one of my storage containers, and I've yet to pull it out to try to put, do this with my eggs. But up until 2 weeks ago, I didn't have 90 eggs sitting in cartons on the counter either. So
it's time to try it.
It might be, but if I'm going to do it, I need gallon size jugs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
How about old pickle jars? Do you guys use old pickle jars?
Probably a plenty of those.
There you go.
But it goes back to storage space.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and how many eggs are we really going to get into this jar to hold?
Yes.
I mean, it's just that there's the weird balance that I look at.
Yeah.
Is space to hold it. I mean, it would take me a dozen jars just to put up what I've got right now. And is the space available? Is it worth all the process to get it in there versus taking and saying, well, I'm going to look at it, which goes back to the freeze drying thing. Freeze drying, you get that done and it's good for a couple of years. So, man, we got so many options now.
I have heard varying. I have used mine in a year or less. Usually we're done with them within 6 months.
I can't even imagine having enough eggs where you'd be storing them.
Oh yeah.
Longer than a year. But
I had just a couple weeks of eggs and I put it in a 5-gallon bucket with the lime water. So I did 5-gallon bucket.
See, I'm oblivious to these things.
5-gallon buckets. She just said 5-gallon bucket. I never thought 5-gallon bucket.
I did.
Great.
I would never waste my mason jars on anything but actual food, canned foods. That way, because I make all our meats and beans and broths. I can everything like that in my quart jars, and my 1/2-gallon jars. I wouldn't want to dig through those for eggs, so I just put it in a big old 5-gallon bucket.
You know what my favorite way to store eggs is?
Don't be a smarty.
In my belly. Sorry, I had not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. I kill me sometimes. I kill me. Oh, Yappy.
Well, Grammy said she could put 2 dozen eggs in a gallon jug. 2 dozen eggs in a gallon jug. Yeah, not too bad. But man, I'm not. I
do it.
A 5-gallon bucket, dude.
Give her a go.
No, 5-gallon bucket's fixing to happen.
5-gallon bucket seems to be pretty. Got $5 in it and with a lid and golden.
Well, actually, I had less than that because I bought mine from the bakery at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
So mine was $1. So.
If only you knew a guy who buys skids and skids of 2-gallon buckets. I mean, maybe you had those laying around too. Actually, you never heard that. Don't even think about using those buckets for that. Outside of glassing and liming and everything else.
I'm gonna get
freezing,
like weirdo things. And it's
what's the weirdest way you've stored eggs?
So what our kids? So I don't know about you guys, but we have the like the Der Dutchman's here in Ohio, which is the like Amish buffets, and our kids love the mustard and the pickled eggs, like the beet pickled eggs,
or mustard eggs, yeah.
And so we love to hard boil 1 to 2 or 3 dozen eggs, and I pickle beets every year. So we take some of the pickled beets and we, eat as many as we want, and then all the liquid that is left over, we put our hard boiled eggs in a bigger jar and then add that pickling water or pickling vinegar into that and let them sit as long as we can possibly wait.
So good. They don't last 3 days.
They don't last long.
If you hide them and put them in the back somewhere where no one sees them.
I put them in the back behind all the milk, and
then they get really good.
They get really good. So that was good. That was a good treat. That's one fun way that we use our eggs is to hard boil them. Egg salad sandwiches in the summer when they're tired of eggs, we do hard-boiled eggs and egg salad sandwiches.
There was one really weird way you tried to preserve eggs that I think it almost killed me.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I didn't try to kill you more than twice.
this week.
What?
But it was
Don't listen to him.
it was what did you do? The eggs, they were kind of rubberishy, but also kind of dry, almost choke you, or just almost choke the life right out of you. I mean this lovingly.
I don't even know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
Was it a salt? Maybe did you salt them? Salted eggs?
No, salted yolks. So if you have, we have one kiddo that been struggling with what she thought was dairy. And so she was trying to avoid some dairies, and cheese obviously falls in the dairy category. So we've had a hard time finding like cheese alternatives. And I was looking up cheese alternatives and saw that salted yolks, if you take the yolk and you salt it, it almost becomes like it thickens, and it I don't even know what you call that. Like salted pork,
Yes,
like it's
I would call it egg jerky.
Anyway, you take that after it's salted and then it's hardened, and you grate it like Parmesan cheese or something, and it doesn't taste too bad, and it's avoiding the dairy she's having trouble with her tummy about. And it was a good alternative to, using up some of those extra eggs when we had them.
Yappy, what about you? What's the weirdest way you've
without killing anybody in your family? Because I guess I tried to do
trying
that.
to choke or strangle out one of your kin folks with eggs.
As far as what I did with them,
like what's the weirdest, most unusual way you feel that you have preserved eggs?
I incubated them, and then I made them into walking eggs that made me more eggs.
That's
Favorite
good.
way to do it.
That is the best way.
As
Yappy wins. Oh, sorry.
Wow, that was too much.
Got carried away there. Sorry. I like my buttons.
No, I actually.
You're
killing me.
Oh.
But yeah, I've got 2 incubators that they float between hatching queens and hatching chickens out, and I love when it comes time to take about 4 dozen and roll them, and 21 days later the kids are just ecstatic because they're popping and pipping and cracking and just chirping and everything else. But yeah, Muku fun.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered the what we have experience with and what we've done to preserve eggs. I think it's an important thing to have those conversations, learn different ways, try something Yappy like lime, and see what you think, because you just never know. I mean, it's all fun and games when we have the luxuries of having electricity and having all the equipment to do the things that we want to do, but learning how to do something completely off grid, off of fire, off of flame, off of heat source and energy that we can kind of put together outside of the main grid system, I think is important, not just for eggs, but for other things too. So I want to challenge folks, if you're listening, if you've never tried some of these ways, even the salting yolks, don't be afraid to choke out your husband with these salted yolks. You just never know. There's a lot of different ways to do all those kind of things. So I think that's pretty cool to be able to learn. We're going to keep this tonight just about an hour or so, but if you have a question or two, put them in all caps in the comments here, and we'll try to catch up. Well, there's a lot of folks a lot of folks came on tonight, and that was nice having you on here. Susie, is there a question you see there?
I saw the drop time farm, Chris.
My current flock is taken to roosting in the nesting boxes. Any ideas how to break them of it, short of wringing their necks?
Do they have enough places to roost? Would be my question.
Well,
we have some that just really like to lay in those things at night. Like a couple hens that really like to lay in their nesting box. Like that's just their happy place.
I
don't want to rob them of their happy place.
It's been a little while, Chris. I'm not saying it's happening to you, but it seems in the past when we were starting to have some nighttime predators creeping around and making noise or trying to get in, the chickens started a lot of them were hanging out in the nesting boxes a little bit further away from the roosting poles. But if they start doing that, I mean, I don't really know what you could do. How do you deter? How do you keep a hen out of the nesting box that you want them to be comfortable and safe and lay in, but not do that at nighttime, so they're not pooping the place up? Short of closing off the nesting boxes somehow and having to. So I don't know if anyone listening, leave a comment in this video after it publishes. How in the world do you keep hens out of your nesting boxes at nighttime? Yappy, any ideas on that?
I would remove the nesting boxes for a couple of nights and then actually rearrange where the roost poles are at. Everything needs a mental reset. It may end up where you've got a couple of days where you're getting eggs off the floor. When mama wants to lay that egg, she's going to put it wherever she can find it. But go ahead and take the boxes out and, kind of see where that'll get you. I'm not, it's a reset thing. It's kind of neat that you can take, when we introduce new chickens into the yard, we'll leave them locked up for 2 or 3 days. And then, I will maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours at most before sunset. I will let the chickens go out to free range closer to dark. I don't want them out and roaming around too far, but they'll stay fairly close and for a couple of days. And then they go, they start to follow everybody, go back into where they know that the roost is. I just prefer to, go ahead and pull that out, move some roosting poles around and just kind of give them a mental reset. See if that'll help.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Our good buddy Tim McCandless here asks, will y'all continue these Sunday night homestead chats? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, we'll say this. If you guys find value in this and you are enjoying this, leave us a comment once this video publishes and just let us know. If you want to see the homestead chats continue, drop us a comment there and we'll kind of go from there. We enjoy talking about all the things here that we do. We just released or published this morning a tapping maple tree and making maple syrup video, and it's so fun doing all these different things on the homesteads. And I think what's important to recognize is we are in no way, shape, or form are attempting to come from a place of authority or the say all be all, unintended. See what I did there? No buttons. She's got my hand smacked. No more buttons. Oh,
okay, I got that one. Ooh,
wow. Yappy hooked me up with a button there.
No, quit. It just won't stop.
We love our buttons.
I'm just going to turn it all down.
Lee on here. He likes his buttons too. But we love sharing what we do, not because we think we're experts, not that we are trying to portray ourselves as being the voice of authority. It's just a lot of fun. And I want to see a lot of folks be able to enjoy life in this kind of a way too. There's a whole long story about how we got here, but more importantly, why we got here, why we're in this position. We'll talk more about that later, but why it is exactly that we feel that this is something that we want to do and is fulfilling to us to share this journey is definitely important. So we would love to keep up these chats on Sunday nights. If you all find value and want to keep tuning in and checking them out, maybe we'll keep on doing them there. So appreciate that. We've got a question here from Brian at Castle Hives. Question: how many eggs does Yappy's mug hold?
Ooh,
great question.
Eggs or whole eggs?
What I would do is whoever is taking temporary ownership of Yappy's mug, what I would do is I would go out and find that clutch of eggs that's been sitting there all summer that you just now found, and I would do the sink and float test, and all the ones that float, go ahead and crack those. And what we really need to know is how many of the floating eggs cracked will fit in Yappy's mug. But the trick is, the more you put in there and the longer you let it sit, the more will actually fit in there. So let that bad boy ferment. Let it get all molded and nasty and just funky, just a funky comedine. Just let it go to town, and then let us know how many eggs fit in Yappy's mug.
You know.
I like Jeff Thomas's comment or question a lot better. Okay, Jeff wants to know about peeling boiled eggs. So you got any secrets about maybe peeling boiled eggs,
Susie?
I've heard a couple of things, and one is properly boiling them.
Yeah.
I use an Instant Pot, the 5-5-5 Instant Pot rule.
Which is
5 minutes on, cook, pressure. 5 minutes natural pressuring, then you let it out, you let all the rest of the pressure out, and then you ice them for at least 5 minutes.
And those things they
just peel right off.
I mean,
now, if you're doing it traditionally, you can maybe add a little baking soda, and that'll help. But you can also take a quart mason jar with a little bit of water and put an egg or two in there and kind of shake them. And then that actually loosens all of it up and you just kind of pop it off.
I hate to brag, but it seems like we've got a hard-boiled egg fairy. And for some, I don't know how it happens, but somehow the chickens lay the eggs, they get collected, and then they end up in the fridge in containers already peeled and just ready. I don't know how it happens, but it's one of those things where let's keep it a secret because I don't want it to get out too much.
Yeah.
We got a question here from Grandma Terry Bishop. When will Susie get her freeze dryer?
Oh.
Well, stay tuned.
Where's the won't? I don't know. We'll see.
We need
where's the crickets?
That's sad.
Yep. Let's help Susie get her freeze dryer. Make sure that you please share, hit the like button, subscribe, buy a mug, do whatever it takes. Get Susie a freeze dryer.
Oh, that'd be great. You just never know what's going to happen next. Maybe there'll be a freeze dryer.
Maybe Adventures of the Freeze Dryer. That's right.
We'll know if we get a bunch of orders in tonight and tomorrow morning with
for freeze dried eggs. Yeah,
freeze dryer. We'll know the
Susie's
people.
freeze dryer fun.
Is there a secret to introducing a young flock to an existing flock? Questioned by our buddy Jeremy Lindsay over at the Lindsay Homestead Farm. Yappy, what do you do?
You really, it's expensive, but I can tell you how I do it. The craziest thing in the world, you got to take all your current flock and put them in a bunch of cages and then move that entire setup somewhere else. Well, see, I use a 10x10 dog run, but in all said and done with, put all your current chickens somewhere else and then put all your new chickens in there for a day and then reset their brains. You got to reset that brain, but there's going to be a pecking order regardless. They're going to do it. It's just a matter of, maybe, do it at night. Wait to put the new chickens in there and, till nighttime, add them to it. But trying to keep chickens from doing things that they're just going to do is very difficult. But I actually have 2 coops, and I can I've got. In my small coop, I've got a setup to where I can put all the baby chicks in it. They're off the ground. They get to a certain size, and then I can actually put them on the ground in the dirt, but they're still in a setup. And if I end up having that 1 or 2 chickens that just end up being too dominant, well, I can pull them out and I can set them off it for a couple of days, and you take that dominant chicken out. So kind of keep an eye on which ones are doing the pecking. And if you have to pull 1 or 2 out, all right, give them an opportunity to realize that they're not the king of the coop anymore. Put the other ones in, leave the other ones in there, and then reintroduce the ones that are being dominant.
Yeah, I agree we usually introduce our new chicks that are old enough to be on their own and fend for themselves. We introduce them at night. We close them up and put them in the coop at night. And then we actually leave them closed up for a day or 2, as long as it's not in the middle of summer and they're going to die of heat stroke. So we actually leave them in that dark coop for a day or 2 so that they have all the sights and smells, like everything's gone other than they have to all smell like each other. But we have a different style coop than most people. So it allows us to do that.
Whether it's like the birds and the bees, closing them up for a day or 2, it gives them that chance to reset. So when you open them up, they kind of they can kind of reset and do their thing there. John Hatch, Circle J Farms asks, have you heard anything about Tractor Supply chicken feed?
Chicken feed. Okay. We use Tractor Supply chicken feed. I don't know what he's meaning as far as.
Okay, so there's a conspiracy theory going around, and I'm going to leave it at that. But there is a theory going around where people have been finding that when their chickens should have been laying, they just all of a sudden stopped laying eggs. Okay, and they've gone for months without laying eggs, and there's a theory that there's something going around in the Tractor Supply chicken feed that is keeping the chickens from laying eggs. I don't know. We're at that point now where in this world where if you get mad at somebody or something, that people want to justify something, but if they hate them, all they have to do is just start a couple of TikToks talking about, I quit feeding my chickens Tractor Supply chicken feed and they started laying eggs. Well, when did they stop laying eggs? Well, about October, and they're just now starting to lay eggs now. Well, yeah. Oh, well, you think maybe it didn't have anything to do with the feed? I don't know. Congratulations, but there's some stuff that's going on about chickens not laying eggs because they were eating that. So
it has nothing to do with the Rothschilds owning Rural King and trying to take away all the chicken feed sales from TSC. So Rural King gets the spike in the stock market.
No.
But hey,
No.
I am a let's just say, well, I wouldn't say closet conspiracy theorist, but
you do have your tinfoil hat.
I do have a tinfoil hat, but you just never know. But if you see a lot of folks all of a sudden, if they're using the same feed, what you have to separate, is this really a thing, or is this a viral thing that just
a crazy
piece of information that, or a post that went viral, or is this actually something? If there's something going on, or that's a conversation for a different day, because that could be a big deal. But I think that's probably about it for the questions tonight. I want to thank everyone for hanging out, for commenting, for being a part of this. Yappy, the chicken man, I can't thank you enough for coming out tonight and just showing the world the many faceted layers of Yappy the Beeman. Yappy, we're going to give you the final thoughts here. Any final thoughts on being Yappy or chicken?
Being Yappy? No, but we'd like to thank all of our visitors for coming in. Stop in next week when we talk about ant farming.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you again, everybody, for spending some time with us. We appreciate you guys. Be sure to check out the Yappy Beeman YouTube channel if you haven't already. Yappy, is there any other YouTube channels that folks need to be aware of?
I've got a secret, and I'm not releasing it yet. But
I'm so excited that I just
Yappy Beeman,
I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it.
I know Yappy Beeman is officially starting a second channel. It's going to be geared more towards my thought processes, theories, and everything on the beekeeping side. And it doesn't go. It's not going to add anything. I'm not just going to be another guy talking about how to make splits. You will not. 99.9% you're not going to find a video on my new channel that teaches you how to make splits. There's enough of that out there, but it's going to be people want to see a lot of, after I do a removal, what happens to the bees. And we're going to start following beehives and progress, the equipment that I use, the thought processes to why I do what I do, but I'm not going to sit here and teach you how to make split. So it's going to be a lot more personable. There's going to be some times where I'm going to ask you guys to come on my live streams, but I'm going to have a lot more flexibility in what I get to do on the new channel with interacting with people, as opposed to kind of how I do things on my primary. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'm disappointed that you never discussed what to do with eggshells in this video. So
save that for the frugal homesteader, what to do with the homestead yields, including eggshells.
Yep. Write that down, Suze.
Write that
Okay,
down.
I gotta get my notes. Okay.
Yeah. Add it to the
Yappy,
freeze dryer.
Thanks
Anyway,
again
thank you,
for
guys.
taking some time on a Sunday night to talk about chickens and who knows what the next time. Thanks again, everyone, for hanging out with us tonight. As always, I want to remind you to be the lighthouse.
And be the change that you want to see in this world. Have a good night, guys.
We'll see you
Thanks for
next time.
coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Buy a mug. Buy a mug.